Got here, and it's time to talk about Bleach. And what an episode! After last week's episode where I was dying of laughter, this one I was just dumbfounded looking at the absolute art and artistic style that Shunsui Kyoraku's Bankai has in anime, and they cooked so hard. It looks amazing, and I just was speechless there looking at that. It felt like watching a theater play a tragedy play out during battle, and that's exactly what his Bankai is along those lines, and it's one of the most beautiful but also most dangerous Bankais for its user, not just for the enemies here, and also picking up some of the other fights, but damn, they're cooking so hard with Bleach right now, what we're getting here. So let's get into the episode and talk about it. Now, picks up from last week. Don't worry, there's still gonna be more. Pernida breaks out of the excruciating pain, baby. That fight is gonna continue versus Mayuri here. It didn't end there. There's a lot more interesting things happening there, especially if you read the manga. But also what I liked, this episode is very much focused on Shunsui versus Lille Barro. But the other character moments that we got throughout the episode, Shunsui and Urahara with Shinji keep pressing forward, and Shunsui decides to stay behind, thinking about Lille Barro, and Lille Barro aiming at them and actually shoots Kyoraku in the chest. And like, wait, you died? No, because if you guys remember how his Shikai works a bit from when he fought Stark. Man, I miss that fight so much. Stark versus Kyoraku was such an awesome fight, and their personality are very similar and yet very different at the same time. And even here we get those that contrast here between Kyoraku and Lille Barro, how their personalities are the same and yet vastly different at the same time in some things here. And Kyoraku is one of my all-time favorite captains, and the way his power works, Shikai and Bankai also, is so interesting. You can do so many things with a power like this. It's especially great in duels, but it's also very dangerous for your allies and especially himself, not just the enemies here. And the way after that shot, I was like, this episode is gonna go hard here. Like, Lille Barro thought, hey, he got the shot, very smug about himself with his speech there, how somebody stays behind, they're just a loser and so on. But then I'm like, dude, you have no idea what you did here. And then the way they portrayed Kyoraku just going behind them, getting to Lille Barro, that small dance in the shadows there, the colors, just it looked so good, and thank you for that. That's how you portray Kyoraku's power here, and I loved Lille Barro being down for. Wait, what? How did? Yeah, what? He was. He couldn't process what was happening. Even more for beings being this powerful, not to be able to compute what happened. And then Kyoraku's personality and the way he talks, how playful he is, but he's also one of the most serious character. Like surface level, he's very playful, but there's a lot of pain inside him, and he hides that pain and disdain for a lot of things with the joyful acts and games that he does, and even his Bankai, the way it works with id and ego personifies that quite a lot here, being children's games, but very dangerous, kind of showing the dark side of those children's games. And I like that Nanao was instantly there, follow him, and Nanao is gonna play a very big role. Same as Name was gonna play for Mayuri in the other fights. But before we get to Nanao, we have the actual fight here. Shunsui versus Lille Barro. And I like how he explains the rules, because it's also part of the rule. Both sides need to know the rules before the games can actually begin, how it works. And him, how he left kind of like a after image with his Reats, which even fooled Lille Barro, because when you rely so much on your senses, these things can fool you quite a lot. And I like how he goes from those playful jokes moments when he finally says, do you know who I am? The head captain, Shunsui Kyoraku. And that's why he's great, and he's the best one to take the next mantle of Yamamoto here. And speaking of Yamamoto, what I liked was kind of the when Nanao went back and talking to the others, the groups, Urahara, Shinji, and Shinji said the perfect thing at the perfect time, and he personified everything, asking them, what would Ukitake do if Shunsui would have said, leave it to me and you guys keep going, I'm gonna stay behind. And Ukitake, having so much faith in Kyoraku, probably would have been the same words, and what if Yamamoto said it, and showing the weight what it means to be the head captain. That conversation was great between them, previous generation showing respect, and also the next generation here, and the relationship between Ukitake, Kyoraku, and what it means simply to be the head captain. And I really like that short moment there, and Shinji instantly went for it here. But anyway, back at the fight here, and even if you know the rules, it's still really hard to actually keep track and keep focus. The more you rely on your senses, the easier it is to be fooled. And this is why you have something that seems so innocent, not dangerous, but things like that can be very, very deceptively dangerous. And children games always take this, especially if you used by an adult and they take a much darker form. And this is why I love his Bankai so much, and his Shikai before we get to his Bankai here. And Lille Barro still is one of the most powerful characters in the series, actually wounds Kyoraku in the foot. You can't really dodge properly his attacks here, and the way Shunsui was still able to fool him with the shadows there, cutting even more with from his gun, but he was able to extend it and rebuild that part of his Quincy bow here. But this kind of brings back a primal fear into everybody. Remember when you're a kid, even Kyoraku said it here, you're scared of shadows. They always came after you in the dark, and children's games get dark really quick, and you see the shadows everywhere coming after you, and actually able to stab Lille Barro behind. This is why I like his Shikai so much. It's not as flashy as a majority of other Zanpakutos that we have, but it's so dangerous for Kyoraku also, but for the enemy also here. But it's not gonna be that easy, because Lille Barro is very strong, and he kind of gimps himself in a way. He's kind of like a religious zealot, the way he views himself and the way he views Yuhabach. Consider himself the one closest to God, referring to God as Yuhabach. He was the first one on his side there, and him opening his eyes only when he's in danger to be able to use X-axis, kind of becomes immune to damage in a way here. And he felt very angry that somebody like Kyoraku, a mortal, how he views them, made him, forced him to do this. And he goes into his full biblical angel form, Ziliel. I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing that here, and that has some very big effects, kind of amplifies his powers. Of course, he's this angel right now. Remember the meme, how we see most angels, how angels actually look, those distorted forms. And even it's a theme of Bleach. You see, in a lot of series, gods and so on look really beautiful, but in Bleach, gods usually look like this monstrous thing. We even saw it with Yuhabach when he absorbed the Spirit King, that monstrosity with the eyes he has. And here, in this case, with the transformation of Lille Barro here, actually paralyzing Shunsui here, and him saying, don't chase shadows. I really liked that one, but still got wounded thanks to the transformation. It has to be on the run here. He tried everything, even Kido, it didn't work. Him not taking any damage. Lille Barro, it's very hard to wound him. Even he said it, no weapon can actually wound me, but of course there's gonna be exception. You can't have an invulnerable character to do anything and everything he wants here, and this is why I feel like they're the best matchups against each other. And keep that in line. Nothing, no weapon can wound me, and that's gonna play a major role in the future here. But while this fight was happening, remember, all of the fights are probably gonna happen around the same time here. We have Mayuri Pernida fight happening, this one also started, so they're happening at the same time or close to each other. So it's not gonna be this fight starts, then the next one is gonna start. And this way I'm liking how they're doing it in the anime here, showcasing that effect a lot more. So it's not gonna be one fight, next fight, then next fight, and so on. Keep that in mind. And that's why we saw a bit of Pernida. That fight is also gonna continue. This fight is also gonna continue here. But then while this was happening, we have Askin and Ichigo. And I really like how Askin was casually, hey, did you get any training in the palace? Yeah, of course. So that's why this doesn't work on you. Let's change it up a bit. And Askin might be the weakest out of the remaining ones, but he's also one of the most dangerous ones. The way his power works can cause so many problems, and Grimjo already knows that, to say the least here. Reishi poisoning, kind of poisoning, I'm saying he's gonna change the flavor. But after this scene here, I felt like I was watching theater, like pure art on a stage play, and that's exactly what Kyoraku's Bankai is. And him finally revealing, I'm like, I've waited years for this. Thank you. And it looks so good. Kyoraku revealing his Bankai, but still worried not catching so many people into his range. That's why he rarely uses it, because his Bankai doesn't really keep track of friend or foe. It's kind of indiscriminate into how it works here. That's why he's very reserved with its uses here. Even when he was stopped using it against Stark back then in the fight here, and just pure art what we got. Holy fuck, it looks so good. The background, the music, the ink, insanity how we have it here, and showing its effect, how it distorts the world, how you view it, and affected a very big range there. And Lille Barro attacks, wounds Kyoraku, and remember the effects. This Bankai works in acts. It's like a stage play. Act 1, the wound you inflict on the enemy appear on yourself also. And Lille Barro kind of had the same reaction, like, what's happening? Wait, what? How does he imagine a being that can't be wounded just got wounded by himself? Keep that in mind again for later on. But with these wounds, you can't die. Like, you take the damage, but there's no death from this wound. So it can keep the fight going for quite a while. So when you're caught into this, you have to play throughout all of the acts. And I like how the story, it's exactly like a stage play. The commentary from Kyoraku is awesome. You feel this tragedy that his Bankai is, and Act 2 being the feeling the regret and shame from wounding your adversary, being sick from that. And you see the bubbles, the spots appearing on Lille Barro there, and underwater jumping, throwing yourself in the water after everything that happened, submerged in your own Ryatsu, kind of like a bit in your guilt, signifying that Act 3 is not the end. These are just the stage for it, and I liked after that we finally see the full Zanpakuto spirit, or how he views the Zanpakuto here in your own inner world. Remember how Ichigo had Zangetsu, or what he thought was his Bankai, his sword there, until we got probably one of the best writings in a manga, at least one of my favorite things that we've gotten with The Blade Is Me. I love that so much. Here we see Ohana, the spirit that signifies his Zanpakuto, and how tsundere playful she is. Very similar in a way with him, and she's goddamn hot. And then we see the ending, cutting the thread of regret, and that one just absolute art, the way it looked. They cooked so hard with this showcase here, just cutting the neck of Lille Barro there, the thread of regret here. He falls down and explodes, submerging even more underwater, and Shunsui also collapses, and he wins. He wins, sleeping in the lap of Ohana there. And she's so fun, even went for his only remaining eye. I really like the dynamic between them quite a lot, but keep in mind, this fight is also still not over here. We still have the Pernida fight. The other fights are also gonna start, so all hell is still breaking loose here. All of the fights are great, but what they have been doing with Kyoraku's Bankai, amazing. It looks so good. But I'm curious what you guys thought about this episode. What do you think about the Bankai here? What do you think of Lille Barro's transformation? Let me know in the comments below. And I'm actually really curious, what are your favorite Zanpakutos, Shikais, Bankais? Let me know in the comments below. As always, thank you very much for watching. Remember to like and subscribe, helps me quite a lot, and you guys get the latest videos on the series that I follow. And thank you to everybody behind. You are cooking so hard for the anime, and as a Bleach fan, I couldn't be happier here. And Tight Kubo, thank you for giving us this greatness. So, we'll see you on the next one. Keep enjoying Bleach. Bye bye.